Hey YouTube, coming to you today because I have a very serious video I'd like to share with you guys. Stupid king. Alright, so just focus on me and not so low. They're gonna show anyways. Anyways, so I'm coming to you guys because I wanted to share a very serious story with you. Um if you have a moment, get a cup of tea. I have water, of course. And I'm just going to be honest with you. A lot of people will not tell you the importance of, the things that you would need to do if you have PCOS. And a lot of people will not tell you the dangers. And you may be surprised, but a lot of your doctors will not tell you the dangers of PCOS. A lot of doctors will not tell you that at all. The only thing that they'll tell you is that, okay, yeah, obesity is a huge problem in PCOS. There are people who aren't obese, though, who have PCOS as well. So I think it's a very small percentage. Um, but obesity, yeah, definitely. They'll tell you that. They'll tell you definitely your weight. They'll tell you diabetes. They'll tell you that. They'll tell you infertility. Infertility is the number one thing that a lot of PCOS women worry about. Let me tell you some things that you need to be worried about. With polycystic ovarian syndrome, there is no and ifs or nevers with infertility. And actually, I don't even like to associate the word infertility with PCOS because it's really not true. Any woman who has polycystic ovarian syndrome, or at least just polycystic ovarian syndrome, not with anything else, um, it has a very possible chances of having a child, just as a woman without PCOS does. And that was actually told to me by a specialist who I was seeing because I was considering having children at one point in time. So, hope that motivates women who are dealing with that situation. At this point, this is what I'm going to tell you my story. Not how or when I found out I had PCOS, but something that hopefully I pray helps anybody out there right now who is unsuspecting and does not know. So I started dealing with chest pains, and the chest pains were so bad and they were so severe that I would be sleeping in my bed, and or at least trying to get to sleep, and then I would feel this sharp pain come from the left side of my stomach, the top part of my stomach under my rib cage, all the way up to my chest on the left side. Mind you, it happened on the right side sometimes. I would be standing at work. It had gotten so bad to the point where I would be talking to someone and I would get this pain that would stop me in my tracks on my left side. And it would kind of daze me. I would kind of be dazed out a little bit. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what's going on with me? And I kind of ignored it because I was just like, it happened once, it happened twice, it happened 3 times, it happened 4 times, but it's not happening all together. You know, I ignored it. I let it go. The pain at night, let it go. Until this one night where I was leaving work and I was in so much pain. When I got in my car and I sat down, I was in so much pain. I was just like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. All I could do was just hold my chest. And I was just like, maybe I should just call the ambulance. But I was just like, I don't want to call ambulance. They cost too much. I sat and I'm thinking about how much it costs. You can tell I'm very frugal. Um, but after that, I get home and my fiance, he sees me. He's like, "What's going on?" I'm like, "I am in pain. I'm hurting. My chest hurts so bad I can barely breathe." So he rushes me to the emergency room, and I get there and they're like, "Oh my goodness, your blood pressure is off the chain." And I said, "Well, that's normal, knowing that my blood pressure is off, and I know my blood pressure is up and it's high. That's normal because I have polycystic ovarian syndrome, I have hypertension, and it was kind of normal for me to hear that." And I was just like, "Okay, it's up. Give me some medication." I've already taken my medication this morning. I don't know why it's up again. I didn't even eat anything today. That was a crazy thing. And that was scary for me because I was just like, oh my gosh, it's not even what I'm eating that's raising my blood pressure. So what is going on? And at that point, when they saw that my blood pressure was up, they automatically just sent me to a different side of the emergency room and they hooked me up to an EKG machine. And there, the nurse did it once and she was just like, okay, let's do this again. And then she did another one. And at that point, I just started getting discouraged. I was just, at the point of, oh my gosh, something's wrong. So I was just like, I've let this situation go for too long, and now it's probably too late. I was terrified. And after that, finally, we get to see the doctor, and the doctor sees me, and he's talking to me about my blood pressure, and he's just like, "How long have you been having these pains? This, that, and the third." And I'm just like, "I don't know, whatever, whatever. It's been a couple of weeks." And he was just like, "Well, they did a chest X-ray and everything like that, and he was like, your chest is fine, your chest X-rays are clear, and everything looks pretty good, except for you have high blood pressure, and you're how old?" And I was like, "I'm 27." And he was like, "You're 27 with high blood pressure. When did you find out you had high blood pressure?" And I was like, "When I was like 22 or 23." And he was just like, "Wow, that's pretty young to find out you have high blood pressure." And he was just like, "Are you not concerned about that?" I was like, "I'm very concerned." I was like, "But I'm taking medication for it." And that's when I had been explained to you that the medication was not something that would hold you over forever. And it's not a permanent solution, and it's not a cure either. Because without that medication, your blood pressure is just going to, continue to be out of control. And so he explained to me about my kidneys and all of that stuff, how I had higher risk of a lot of things. And then with polycystic ovarian syndrome, what I was at risk for, he said your EKG looks good, but it could look a lot better. And at that point, he had scared me half to death. So I went to my doctor and he said, "Okay, well, you told me he said you mentioned a small, he said something very, very small about having chest pains before." And he, before we thought it was just maybe a little bit of stress from work because of the crazy hours that I worked. And he was like, "You need to chill back off of work for a little while and take some calming medication," which, he prescribed to me. And he said, within 7 to 10 days, since I was about to say 7 to 10 business days, but within 7 days to 10 days, your symptoms should subside. And they kind of did that time, but then they returned after about 10 days. So that's why I ended up in the emergency room. And after that, he sat down and he was just like, "So you went to the emergency room and they told you that your EKG could be a lot better, but they wanted you to follow up with me." He was like, "I don't have your records right now." He's like, "But I can tell you right now." He was like, "You have polycystic ovarian syndrome. And, women with polycystic ovarian syndrome are at risk for heart disease. And if I am to check for anything, I need to do some blood tests, and I also need to do an ultrasound on your heart." And at that point, I was, I thought my life was over. I thought that everything and everything that I'd probably possibly ever done in my life was just already like, it's just done.